All right, so with that, I can see attendees are still pouring in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So I am your lovely host. My name is Taryn Picard, and I am the sales manager here at Onset Computer. What's on the agenda for today? Well, we are going to talk about what is a data logger. We're going to review the different types of data loggers, talk about how they should be used. We're going to review some options for selecting the appropriate data logger. And then at the end, we're going to cover some different real world applications in all different markets. So hopefully we'll cover something of interest to you. We will try to save some time for question and answer, but I do want to just let you know if we don't have a chance to answer your specific question, please feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about your very specific application needs. So a little bit about Onset. We are a world leader in data loggers. We're very proud of that. We've been in business for a little over 35 years. And one thing that is super cool about Onset is we are actually located on Cape Cod. That's a lovely image of our building. We do all of our manufacturing, assembly. And before COVID, myself and the sales team used to be in that lovely building. But I'm sure, like many of you, we are all now working remotely and getting used to our new home offices. And then the other thing too that's really nice about Onset is we are a lean manufacturing operation. So we take a lot of pride in doing things to be streamlined and making sure we can save costs wherever we can so that we can provide you with the lowest cost options possible for your data loggers. So the infamous question, what does HOBO mean? Now, customers constantly ask us, is it an acronym? We've heard some really interesting acronyms over time. My favorite one is Honest Observer by Onset. But unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that's not true. It is actually not an acronym. The truth behind it is that the original founder of Onset Computer was just really infatuated with trains. And for a long time, all of our products had some sort of railroad themed name. We had the Stowaways, Green Line, Boxcar, and then the infamous Hobo came, and that one just kind of stuck for a long time. So really quickly, webinar details. This will run for approximately 40 minutes. We're going to try to leave about 15 minutes for Q&A. And you'll see over in the right-hand side of your screen there, you can type in your questions. So feel free to shoot us those questions as we go along. And just so you know, this webinar is being recorded. So we will be happy to send you a link to the recording and a follow-up email. Today's presenter. So this is my colleague Eileen Sander, and Eileen is a senior application expert here at Onset. She's been selling data loggers for over 22 years. Great job, Eileen. And she predominantly assists a lot of our researchers, consultants, government agencies, and universities on the water quality and environmental monitoring side. But with all of her experience, she certainly can answer a lot of your indoor building performance, energy monitoring questions as well. So with that, Eileen, we'll kick it off with a poll question, and we'll go from there. Let me go ahead and launch that poll question for you. And let's see here. So our very first poll question for everybody is just really trying to understand who in the group is using data loggers. So are you currently using HOBO data loggers? Are you using another brand? Or are you just new to data logging altogether? We'd love to know. And I can see those results pouring in, so thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll, and I will share these results with you guys. So it looks like a large chunk of the group is using HOBO data loggers. Yay, thank you very much. So happy to see that. There are some people who are new to data logging. So this is the perfect webinar for you. We're going to teach you all sorts of pieces of information about data logging. And we have some customers that may be new to Onset, but are used to using data loggers. So very, very great to see. And thank you guys for joining us. And with that, we will move on. Eileen, take it away.
Thank you for that introduction. It looks like I popped that poll question right before I said hello. So hello everybody, and thank you for joining us. And again, we are all happy to be technology savvy and being able to do this remotely. So today I am going to cover all of the main points that we talked about. I'll fill in with a little bit of detail and try and answer some of the questions that you had sent in and that I know that are typical questions you might ask. So first of all, what is a data logger? I used to joke it was a conversation stopper at first. What is a data logger? So it is an electronic instrument. It's going to record at a set time and date that you select over a period of time. It's typically a small battery operated device, and it has an internal microprocessor, data storage, and one or more sensors. Sometimes people worry that it would run out of memory or it would stop logging when the battery stops. Everything we make is a data logger. So all of that information that is recorded is saved on that electronic chip, and it will be there when you're ready to view it. These are used indoors, in houses, residences, indoor buildings, outdoors, and underwater. And as such, you've got case materials that are built to be appropriate for that, of course. And these can record data for up to years at a time, unattended. How do you use a data logger? They are going to be connected to either software on your computer that it would recognize the date and the time, or it could be on your mobile device. Now that we have Bluetooth data loggers, they're set up and read out on a free app to a mobile device. So you have control over this data logger, when it's going to start, when it's going to, how long it's going to run and record based on the interval you select. When we say number 2, connect to the data logger and launch parameters, that means it's going to find it once you've connected to it on your computer with either a USB cable or the Bluetooth app. It sees the date and time. You will tell it how fast you want it to record. And you can select that interval from as quickly as every second or up to 18-hour intervals. When you do that, it's going to tell you how long it will run based on that interval that you select. So if you know you want to do a week-long test or months long, you can set that accordingly based on which data logger you have, how much memory it has, or if it's going to be real time. So you have control over that. You're going to place it where you want to record. When people say, where should I place this? If you're in a museum, for example, or a warehouse or a building, you're placing it where you want to record that temperature, which is the most typical recording. Floor to ceiling might be different, in front of a window, in front of a heating vent, air conditioning, and of course outside. When you're reading, and I'll touch on more of those a little bit later in this presentation and give you some specifics. The fourth item there for you to read out that data logger is you're either connecting it to the computer or you're going to open up the app on your phone and be within range of it and open up that software where you again have control. You'll be prompted to read it out and save that data file. Now, there are different kinds of data files. There's what we call a state versus an interval data logger. As I was describing this setup, I was mostly describing the time interval. And that's how things are most typically used. In a lot of building, energy, HVAC applications, people want to know the runtime or when lights are on or off, or motors are on or off. And that is going to record what we call a change of state. So that instead of looking to see is there data being recorded every second, where you have lots of points that have not changed, It's going to record only when you have a state change. And that would give you runtime of a motor, for example. The interval-based data loggers are going to read at that sample that you've selected. So for example, you decide you want it to record every 10 minutes. You're going to have a data point every 10 minutes. And this is what these files will look like. They're a little bit different. A state logger is going to give you the on or the off or the open or the close. We also might refer to them as pulses. This is used in tipping rain gauges. It's used in lots of machinery type runtime applications. And again, the interval-based logger is going to record at a date and a time. Now, where are these used? This is data logger basics. We're covering a lot of different applications, and we make data loggers for all of those measurements and environments. Starting at the bottom, going clockwise, we've got indoor, starting at the top at about 1 o'clock, indoor, temperature, relative humidity. And that is showing you a picture of an indoor data logger that will record temperature and relative humidity in a building, under floors, in the ceiling, anywhere where if you want to get that temperature relative humidity data and you have the app on your phone and you're within a 100-foot range, it is going to find it on your smart device and show you that data screen where you can save that data. So once you've deployed this in this building, you're going to set it to record, you're going to see that data. On the right-hand side where it says remote field conditions, an outdoor weather station. We have several different varieties based on your situation. These remote conditions can also be used indoors with indoor sensors. What this does is give you real-time data through the internet, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or cellular. And again, we'll cover this in a little bit more detail shortly. At 5 o'clock, we have water level data loggers. We have several different styles of those based on if you're visiting the site and pulling them up, or you need a whole lot of them. Groundwater wells are typically using Bluetooth now. The top end is in air, the bottom end is in your well, and it saves you from having to remove a data logger or pull it out of a well. It's just going to find it on your smart device that you can read that out. And these can stay deployed for over a year with user replaceable batteries, and they last about a year. And you can replace the batteries. Down at the bottom of the screen, temp and light in water, we have inexpensive Bluetooth and USB style data loggers. They're going to record the temperature underwater. Some of them have a relative light sensor on them, good for things like eelgrass studies or turbidity, not the true turbidity reading, but a general purpose light reading. It could let you know when water is being stirred up, but it's sometimes very interesting data. Indoor CO2 on the left bottom is, and I may have had an audio disconnect, if everyone can hear me.
We can hear you, Eileen. You're doing great.
Thank you. Indoor CO2, very prominent data logger. I'll have a short explanation on how these are being used today. You have temperature, relative humidity, and carbon dioxide measurements, which is helping to provide airflow in buildings, which is a very important measurement right now. This uses USB or Bluetooth. So very important data logger right now for the times we're living through. And again, at the top where it says field conditions, we have independent, standalone, battery operated, temperature relative humidity data loggers, nice for greenhouses, nice if you need just a couple of data points for soil temperatures, air temperatures, relative humidity, Bluetooth to your smart device. So it saves you visiting those field sites and pulling things off. It's a nice time saver. Again, Bluetooth, you are within 100 feet of it, but you can do it at a distance. On the indoor measurements, typically down the left-hand side of the page, you'll see temperature, relative humidity, carbon dioxide, air velocity, and VOCs is also offered. Energy and power measurements, we have a plug load data logger that's used with anything that's plugged into power, like any kind of vending machines, for example. Kilowatt hours can be measured with multiple methods in our data loggers, depending on how you want to get the data. You'll see that list of energy and power measurements. Typically what happens is you're going to select a data logger based on, do you need USB historical data? Do you want some Bluetooth logging? Or do you want remote logging when you're in a different location from that? You're in a different city, and that would dictate the data logger and adding sensors that you want to measure. Time of use, again, is referring back to those state data loggers where they are simply recording a change of state so that you know when lights are on or off in a building, motors are running, any change of state, again, and occupancy and light. So you know if someone is in a room, and it will measure the light on or off, and it's picking up the occupancy from a heat sensor, which would actually detect a person. All of the indoor data loggers can't get wet. That means they can't be dropped in a puddle. They can't be sprayed down inside a refrigerated truck. They definitely are for indoor use where they are not going to get wet. And this is just a few of the data loggers that I referred to. You've got 4 channels: light, occupancy, temperature, relative humidity, the change of state, the carbon dioxide measurements. Most of these data loggers do have this IP54 rating, which means they usually can be exposed to dust, but they can't be sprayed down from getting wet. This is 2 of our newest data loggers. These are using Bluetooth. One has temperature, relative humidity, a general purpose light intensity measurement, and an open channel for additional sensors that could be added, like AC current, an additional temperature in a small space, or you can have a 4-channel data logger that uses Bluetooth, and you can add AC current sensors to it, multiple temperature sensors for pipes, for example. So it gives you some flexibility in how you want to use this. One of the things that I do is when you call and say, here's what I want to measure, I will walk you through the kind of data logger and what sensors you would need to accomplish that. We're going to jump ahead to some outdoor measurements. Again, water temperature is one of the most used sensors: water level, conductivity, salinity, both for salt and fresh water. We have multiple soil moisture sensors used in agricultural applications, water flow combined with water level, and getting your data in different methods. And we have pH. Outdoor weather is temperature, relative humidity, PAR, which is photosynthetically active light. We have solar radiation, general purpose light intensity, rainfall, wind speed direction, and leaf wetness. Other sensors that can sometimes be added, depending if you have a particular need, our data loggers can accept 4 to 20 milliamp signals, pulse signals, the 0 to 24 volt DC signals, and we have a tilt acceleration data logger used in a variety of applications, one of which is monitoring cow behavior. Just, are they happy? On the outdoor measurement data loggers, top left is the RX3000 wireless sensor network. So you have a data logger that can communicate either with sensors plugged in right at the main station that can do measurements like evapotranspiration, an important agricultural measurement for farmers right now. The top right-hand side where it says HOBO and you see those grapes hanging, we have multiple styles of 5-channel data loggers. Some are battery operated, some have a built-in solar radiation shield, some can be plugged into power so that you have the flexibility to build the data logging system where you can add the sensors you choose. And down in the bottom right, that small Bluetooth data logger in that greenhouse, ideal for greenhouse situations and growing situations for temperature, relative humidity. They can be mounted anywhere in that space, and within 100 feet of those, you can see that data on your smart device and save it and share it. And in the bottom left-hand corner, the weatherproof. These data loggers have been around for a long time. This was your typical temperature and temperature relative humidity weatherproof data logger that would connect via a USB connection to your computer. Battery operated. These were typically used in areas where you need a low temperature range. It could be cave studies, it could be the Arctic, and they want a USB connection and they want something rated for very cold or very warm temperatures. We have underwater data loggers. What you're seeing in the top left is the underwater Bluetooth temperature and water level Bluetooth sensor. Bottom end is in the well, in the water. Top end is above the water line, typically mounted in PVC pipe with a well cap or not. And you can communicate to it within 100 feet, again, to your smart device. It saves a lot of time in the field for gathering that data. And again, these have user replaceable batteries. They last about a year before that needs to be replaced. Down the center, where you see what looks like the round bottle about bottle top size, I usually refer to it as a bottle cap. The tidbit with the yellow label is, these are all Bluetooth, the yellow label and the green label. They're rated to different depth ranges and accuracy specs. The orange on the bottom in the center has also been around a long time. It's a USB connection to your computer for when a small size is necessary, and that has a 6-year battery life. Top right-hand side, it says HOBO. You see that red cable attaching it. These are used for coral reefs. They're also used in the Arctic, anywhere where you need something that's going to survive -40 temperature readings and has a good battery. It has a 6-year factory replaceable battery. These are really rugged and durable, and they'll record for a long time without you needing to visit that site. The bottom right is a conductivity data logger. We also have a pH data logger. On the left is dissolved oxygen and a standalone water level logger. Now, as you can see, we've got lots of varieties, and it is based on your particular application. All of these are going to give you that time, date, and historical data. Now, typically, we are always happy to talk to you so that, and I am going to ask you, what do you need to measure? And describe for me where you're doing this and how often are you visiting the site? Because that will help me share the best information with you about which data logger would last the longest and which would be appropriate for your situation. How often do you want to access the data means the memory size for some of the older data loggers was a little bit smaller and a little bit less expensive. And if you like Bluetooth over USB or remote data, we would direct you to that kind of communication and then choose the appropriate sensors for you. Considerations in choosing that. I'd probably also ask, what kind of accuracy do you need? Typically, our data loggers are very accurate. They're 2/10 of a degree C, which is about half a degree Fahrenheit. We also have some lower cost data loggers, as low as $54 for a simple underwater temperature data logger. That one is plus or minus 1 degree Fahrenheit in accuracy. But people love them because they can put out a lot of data loggers to profile a large area. It's an important piece of getting as much data as possible. Again, how do you want to access the data? People more and more like the Bluetooth because they are always carrying their cell phone and they may not always want to be hiking up a mountain or down a river carrying a laptop. But the same goes for anyone going into a building as well. If you want to just carry your smartphone because you always have it or you carry an iPad, we would help you choose that Bluetooth data logger that is going to record what you need to record. Battery life, again, is always addressed. We spend lots of time telling you all about batteries. Most of them are replaceable. We have a couple that are throwaway. And cost of ownership, how long are they typically going to last? And most of these are going to last a long time. We're talking years. And product support. Sometimes the simplest thing nowadays, like, do you know what button to click to get started? And
Oh, Eileen, I think we lost you there. But I'll jump in until we get Eileen back on the horn. So one thing, I'm not sure if Eileen mentioned it and I missed it, but we
do
do
you
have
have product
products.
support?
Oh,
OnFit
there we
offers
go.
free technical support for the light. Hear me.
We can
All
hear
right.
you now, Eileen. Keep going. You're
Uh,
doing great.
I'm sorry for that glitch, but we'll make sure if we missed it, we're a little bit repetitive, so I'm sure I'll be able to cover it for you. Again, the data access options, USB to your desktop. There are some companies, government agencies that must use USB and not Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. We have that option for anyone who's more comfortable with that. And here's what that looks like. What you're going to do is plug that USB cable into the data logger, and you're going to connect it to your computer that has HOBOware software installed on it. We have free software, which runs most of the temperature data loggers. We have a paid software, which is $75 or $99 to download or get it on a CD or a USB drive that includes that USB cable. And you're going to connect it to that. It helps, that is how the data logger recognizes the date and time on your computer. And that is where you will set it up, the date and time. You'll select the interval that you want it to record at, anywhere from 1 second to 18 hours, and you'll hit start. So if you have 10 data loggers in a building, for example, and you want them all to be recording temperature or voltage, you want them all to start at the same time. And if you're comparing this week to last week, you want your data files to have a nice look to them. So you're going to have everything starting on the hour, for example, and maybe recording every 10 minutes. You're going to place them where you need them to be. And I briefly mentioned floor to ceiling in front of an air conditioning or heating vent would have an effect on how they're reading. And you're going to leave them in place and you don't have to be there. When you're ready to see that data, you are going to reconnect it to your computer and open up that file. And it's going to ask you, you want to save it? Do you want to read it out? You will go through those series of click those buttons and you'll be able to save and share that data file. Our software is easy to use. People have always liked it. You always will get a graph. You'll always have your text data that you can select and share. And again, we do have tech support reps that are able to help if you need it. The Bluetooth loggers, I realize I've talked about it quite a bit already. It's because they've become so popular. And again, people always have their cell phones with them. It's a nice, easy way to save time. Brief screenshot of what this looks like. You'll always have your graph show up and you can, with a button, send that text data in several different formats, CSV, text file, a HOBO file, which people like to compare, and easily set up a text or alarms to share that. And you'll see kind of the demonstration of the picture of the person outside a cold room. You could also have this in a residence and be outside. You could have this outside a dorm room or a schoolroom and be able to access it within 100 feet without disturbing whoever is in that room. They can be put in the ceilings, they can be put in the floors, and it would communicate without you needing to pull that up and retrieve it. And again, we have that picture of that Bluetooth water level logger at the bottom. A little bit more of what the screens look like. Connect, graph, and share. And you have those choices on how to share them. Oh, it is a free app, by the way. We don't charge for that. That's an important piece that people do like. Web-based systems allows remote access via Ethernet, cellular, or Wi-Fi. So depending upon how you want to access that, you would choose the appropriate data logger. We also have a new suite of 5-channel stations to give a lower cost option. HOBOlink displays live data and will update you every 10 minutes. They do have a cellular plan. Those cellular plans could be $150 a year to $250 a year based on how fast you want updated data. For example, every 10 minutes versus hourly, and it renews yearly. We're going to touch on some of the applications for that in a few more slides. This is an overview. This is what your data logger looks like. You've got the capability to add alarms. You can add third-party sensors to some of these. And we also have what we call a HOBOlink gateway connection, which gives you the indoor model to share data. And again, it would use the Wi-Fi or Ethernet in your building, so you could set up alarms for temperature and relative humidity, for example, or AC current and pipe temperatures. So web-based systems are available for outdoors and for indoor applications. That gateway indoors, again, it needs to be within 100 feet to transmit. It will pick up everything within range. You have unlimited alarm notifications that you can set up and to send to multiple people. You also have unlimited free cloud storage using a free HOBOlink account. And again, Wi-Fi or Ethernet connectivity. That gateway does need to be plugged into power, but it gives you the option to monitor a building and set up alert pardon me, alerts or alarms when you're outside of the building. The web-based systems, again, were showing that indoors, battery operated or plugged into power, that top photo. The bottom photo is used outdoors and it's recharged with a solar panel. Again, same capabilities that you can set up remote data through HOBOlink and get alarm notifications. Log into your browser to view that or share that. This is a little bit of the raw screenshot of what your raw data file will look like on a computer if you're sending it there, or onto your smart device where you're pulling up your browser. And we've added this past 2 years a dashboard view, gives you a lot of flexibility to design what we call widgets. So you can display that easily if you're looking at multiple rooms indoors. If you're looking at multiple areas outdoors, you can set that up, name it, and display that where it's an easy, quick look so you understand what you want to see first. A little bit better view of what some of this looks like, and this one was an outdoor weather station piece, but again, this can be set up for indoor monitoring as well. I'm going to touch on a few indoor applications first. And this year, as you all know, we have been living through an unusual event. And what we're finding is our temperature, relative humidity, and carbon dioxide data logger really fit the bill. We've had facilities managers using these previously to monitor air circulation in the building, but right now it's really helping to determine how effective these HVAC units are so that they can check these, they can verify meeting ASHRAE standards, that the airflow and the ventilation in the building is the way it should be. And these can be moved around. This is the data logger that is USB or Bluetooth. And by placing these in different areas, they can stay mounted in certain areas. They can be easily moved around. And this kind of data is giving them a solution where they can prove and be sure of, is this area of the building in good shape, or do we need to do something? It works with the free app, the Bluetooth app, or the mobile device. And again, it can be plugged into power and used via USB. You can configure an audible alarm, and you can set up an MX gateway to be alarmed if something is out of range. The other thing is this can stay in the classroom when people are available and they don't have to disturb anyone. These were used, and the results are they were really pleased with being able to show that the environment was safe. They had met all the ASHRAE regulations that they wanted to, and felt comfortable that they were doing everything they possibly could to monitor that indoor air quality and allow those kids to get back in school. Another major application is tracking energy use. So we did have a client that needed to figure out why their energy bill was so high, and they started recording so they could monitor the building. We suggested the RX3000, which gave them access via Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and they could view that in real time and set up alarms. The solution to finding out what was going on with the machines in the building and the HVAC system was it was able to collect data every 2 minutes and receive alarms on and we're showing an RX 3000 connected to a pulse meter. That's typically could be measuring kilowatt hours, for example. After monitoring this for a period of time, they could see that machines were being run during peak hours, and they could readjust their schedule and save money on this investment. Water monitoring applications. We are getting more and more interest in monitoring water level and getting alerts from different dam management organizations. We have had a DCR managing more than 100 dams. They would set these alerts so that instead of having to send staff, they could see how everything was performing, especially during rain events and some of these larger storms that were blowing through, that they knew whether or not they needed to send somebody out there to change some kind of settings. So they could always remotely view the water level at these dams. Our new station, our micro RX water level station, was a 5-channel version of the full weather station because they only needed water level. Rainfall could be added or some other sensors, but it's recording temperature and water level. They were able to just set these up next to these areas, be able to view this data, share the data with multiple people, and trigger alarms. This is used in several areas throughout the United States and around the world already in monitoring the water level at dams. We can do an audit accumulated rainfall calculation as well and trigger notifications when water level conditions are exceeding where they want it to be, so they know if they need to send someone to that site. This microstation supports a wide variety of sensors that can be added to this. And depending on your needs, we can customize that for you. On this particular application, they were monitoring again via HOBOlink. They relied on those remote alarms. And now they don't need to visit some sites that are difficult to reach, and it saves time and it saves money. You'll see the high flow alert range on that cell phone. You can customize what you want that to say. So a really excellent tool. The Billion Oyster project is highlighting some of our water quality data loggers. We did have one question before the presentation. I saw someone was looking for deep water data logging. We do have that. We have water data loggers in various ratings for 100 feet, 400 feet, 1,000 feet, or 11,000 feet. So based on the case materials and what you want to measure would dictate what you could choose. The Billion Oyster project has a lot of information online. They were trying to restore the oysters in New York's harbor. And apparently there's many people and groups and teams involved. They're using salinity, pH, and dissolved oxygen, all of which we do have available at these restoration sites. So the nice thing about this, where there you have school groups and volunteer groups and the Nature Conservancy, they're easy to use and share data, and citizens groups to volunteer to collect data, easy to use and valuable information. I'll jump to the end where I'm seeing today the Billion Oyster project team is monitoring 13 active reefs over 7 acres, and they have successfully restored 30 million oysters. And you see in the photos various ways of mounting these. Typically for any data logger, you just want to find it again and have access to it when you're deploying underwater. Environmental applications can include weather stations, water loggers, etc., and they're used in very harsh environments everywhere in the world. Typical application, our offices are on Cape Cod, but we have lots of local cranberry growers. Frost, and we will be getting into that season sooner than we would like to think. A major contributor to crop loss and loss of sleep for cranberry growers. Previously, I would talk to cranberry growers that were sleeping in their trucks next to their fields to try and monitor the temperature in case they needed to turn on irrigation. So we have one particular gentleman who was using our data loggers for years just for temperature. But when we came up with the remote data logging system, that enabled him to not have to sleep in his truck. He could stay home in his bed, monitor the temperature and what was going on at the different field sites, send alerts and alarms, and get them notified when he needed that. It's even possible to trigger a relay to turn on a pump, and at least that lets him know he needs to go out and turn on the irrigation where they could monitor that. These are automatic text and email alerts that can be set up. Our system is not a controller, but it can trigger a relay on a sensor parameter, such as temperature. So an ideal solution for frost protection. We are going to be offering a webinar coming up, I think, in a week or so, giving more details about that. And right now we are going to have another poll question.
Great. Thank you so much, Eileen. I have gone ahead and launched that poll. So again, we know that there are a lot of people on this webinar today. And again, thank you for joining us. But you are in a variety of different markets with a ton of different applications. And we really want to be able to give you the best possible solution for your specific application. And that is why we have a team of application experts at Onset to really review what your specific needs are and guide you towards the best product that's going to meet those needs. And we know our products can be a little bit complicated and a little bit confusing sometimes if you're looking at some of the bigger systems. So we're here to help. If you'd like to select yes, we can certainly reach out to you, follow up, and talk about your specific needs. All righty. And so Eileen, you can go from there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, we do have a range of services. I know I covered things a little bit quickly and trying to get to some of the questions that we had. We will try and do a little bit of follow-up to fill in the blanks. Onset does have technical support, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, and they are available by phone. We have a live chat on our website as well, or email. We provide logger repair and battery replacement services. We are the manufacturer, so we do build them on site in our building on Cape Cod. There's a number of other resources available from our website. We have application stories, of which I just touched on a few very briefly, and we do have different markets highlighted with much more detail that you could peruse what is most interesting to you. We have a searchable database of all product support documentation and forum posts. We have a solutions search where you can put a search for different solutions based on applications. Multiple webinars and courses. Many of the data logger pages have a few short videos. We have hour-long webinars and short courses that would be appropriate for exactly what you are most interested in, and detailed even how to unpack a data logger for some of the water quality data loggers, and how to perform a kilowatt hour reading. So lots of webinars and short courses that make things easier. And we do have white papers. And if we have time, and do we have any questions, Taryn?
So I have been frantically typing away to answer some of the questions that have come in so far. One question that I think would be worth sharing with the group is if you can just talk a little bit about the charges associated with HOBOware, HOBOware Pro, HOBOmobile. I know we have a bunch of different software platforms, but if you want to just speak to the costs associated with those, that would be great.
Sure. On the USB style loggers, they use HOBOware. We have a free version that supports this, what I call the simple data loggers, like temperature, relative humidity, AC current, for example. And that is free. That's a free download. All that's needed is a $10 USB mini B cable. The HOBOware Pro software, which is also for the USB style data loggers, that is $99 for us to send it to you on a USB drive or a CD that includes that USB mini B cable. And again, that is $99 for that, or a $75 download. That is required for more complicated calculations. So for example, if you wanted kilowatt hours for the energy use, that is the HOBOware Pro software that would be required for that. And we will always help guide you as to what is needed. All of the Bluetooth data loggers, the app is free, and that is a free app downloaded for either iPhones or Android devices. On the remote data access, cellular, Wi-Fi, or Ethernet, if we're doing cellular data plans, they're $150 a year to be updated every hour with new information. It's $250 a year to be updated every 10 minutes. That's what we'd recommend for a frost alert, for example, because it gives you unlimited alarms. So that's a $250 a year data plan, and that is renewed yearly. On the indoor version with an MX gateway, the gateway is $350 for that piece of hardware with a $50 subscription yearly renewal fee. So again, we always will help you determine what best suits your needs, and we do have options available for the different software packages.
Great. Thank you so much, Eileen. Any other questions from the group? I haven't, let's see, let's see. Yeah, I don't see any new ones. So with that, I think we can release everybody a little early. It's always nice to get out a little bit early. And we thank you all very, very much for joining us today. Let's see, I have a question come in. So Eileen, if you want to talk a little bit about the input options with the UX12006M, which is also available as a Bluetooth data logger, and that is the MX1105, and those are analog inputs. Did you want to talk a little bit about the different options you have for that specific logger?
Sure, be happy to. Great data logger. You can have one choice that has temperature, relative humidity, and light built in with one open channel, and you have a 4-channel. So those data loggers open channels can accept temperature sensors. You can get one with a pipe temperatures that has a flat end that makes it easy to install on a flat surface. That That temperature sensor includes thermal grease and some little cable ties to get it all onto the pipe securely so you're getting accurate in, let's say, inflow and outflow on pipe temperatures. So you could do two temperatures. Perhaps you could do an AC current. Those are in different ranges. And air velocity sensors. There are other sensors that are available for that. Compressed air, air velocity, AC current, and I think there is a list of items on the website that would show what is compatible. And we have, sometimes you can add, I'm just actually checking to see what other measurements might be appropriate. And it's typically AC current, AC voltage, amperage, watt hours, kilowatt hours, they can be set up. So you've got definitely options for adding other sensors. CO2 can be added as well.
Great. All right, Eileen, thank you so much for your help today, and thank you to everybody who joined us. We wish you a wonderful afternoon, and again, thank you for those of you who answered yes. You'd like an application expert to reach out to you. We will certainly get on that, and we will reach out to you as quickly as possible. But if you have a burning question, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to hear from you. So thank you all very much, and have a great day.
Again, thank you. Thank you, Taryn.